This week, we're recapping the Game Awards. This is the Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
This is a song I wrote about the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. Good Game, Bad Game podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game, Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer. With me is a man who's excited to purchase and play the day before. And it's gone. Anyway, it's my co-host, Mike. Mike. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I wrap it up?
Yes, please.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, you're about 20 seconds over.
Thank you to...
Don't you dare bring up somebody who died.
Sorry. I'll leave the stage now. Thank you to Simu Lee for wasting 4 minutes of my speech time.
Oh man,
we definitely have a lot. I think a lot of gripes that I think have been rightfully aired already, but I'm sure we'll touch on about the Game Awards. But
I do want to say that I was excited for the day before.
Yeah, I was
like the zombie division.
Yeah, I was excited for it too. But wow.
Yeah. I saw, so my calendar events it came out,
mm-hmm.
and I think it was just in Steam early access, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, correct.
Okay. And then I saw like a lot of people were playing it and that it was kind of buggy. And then like the next day, I think IGN posted something on Instagram that was like, the day before loses 90% of players in one day. And then like 2 hours later, I saw the statement from the developer.
Yeah, I was streaming yesterday and talking to a friend of the show, Austin, and he said he was like kind of like trying to do a little bit of digging. And I think he said that like according to Steam, roughly like 700,000 people had purchased it.
I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at.
That's not insignificant for a game that's going into early access. I mean, this was
and
like...
How much? Do you know how much it costed?
I think it was 40, he said.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, apologies that I don't know more of the concrete details, but yeah. I think he said it was one of the most wishlisted, if not the most wishlisted games in Steam's history. So for it to go from that to this, but yeah, I remember like I completely forgot about this game. I think like somebody had shared it with me, like probably over a year ago or close to a year ago at this point. That was like, look at this game that's gonna be coming out, and I remember looking at it being like, holy shit, this seems like it's gonna be awesome. Then I kind of forgot about it. Then it came up because of all this, and I was like, is that game that I thought was gonna be really awesome? And I had to like go back into my messages and search the day before. Which so many people have actually said the words the day before to me, not in reference to this game. So like having to sift through all of that, like I was like, get out of here. I don't want to talk to you people. Like I don't care about what you were doing the day before. I want to see. And then I found it and I was like, oh my God, this was that game. This is very funny and terrible.
Yeah, I'd been like mildly tracking it. Like I remember they showed a gameplay demo of it. I want to say it was like at the Game Awards last year or something. It was some show last year in 2022. And I was like kind of stoked about it because it looked cool. And you know, I don't have I don't remember if they said it was coming to Xbox and PlayStation at that point, but I was like, okay, well, you know, I can try the whole GeForce Now thing and see if that works. And wasn't to be.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And I mean, we have an episode coming up that'll be focused on, you know, just this overall year. And for as much as we bring up all the good that the year was, right, and like how many amazing games released and all this other stuff, there's been a lot of like really crappy things that have happened. And this is up there with some of the scummiest things I've seen happen in gaming, I think. Like outside of day one patches, Yeah, I feel like the whole like track record of this is like it feels like just an outright scam.
Yeah, I guess the fact, I mean, like, they must have known that this wasn't going to make the money I guess they needed it to make
Yeah, so
on
like
launch day.
to release it in early access, get people to buy into it, and then nuke everything.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like imagine if CD Projekt Red did that when Cyberpunk had like a really bad launch. Like imagine if they just like dissolved and we're just like we're gone, it's just like gotcha suckers, and then left. So
Yeah, true.
you know what I mean? It's like it's like outside of day one patches, this is probably the worst thing to ever happen to gaming.
Sure.
um. So anyway, tell me about your weekend games.
Oh, I had an interesting one for you.
Oh yeah.
So, I know I told you I was traveling, but I brought my Xbox One X with me
Okay.
because I'm trying to convince myself not to get a Series S with the X screen.
Okay.
And I assume you know what that is.
Yes.
So, yeah. I'm really trying to convince myself not to waste the money on that. So I'm like, okay, well, Xbox is good enough that like there's a lot of continuity between the Xbox One and the Xbox Series consoles.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I have a nice case for my One X. I'll bring that. So I had that with me all week, and the main reason was to play Fortnite with my brother. And here's why. I don't know if you've been tracking
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite
I have.
as of recently. Oh yeah, yep. So they have Lego Fortnite,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically Minecraft.
Mm-hmm. Did you play Lego Fortnite?
Oh, we played it for. I would love to know how many hours we played it for, but we played it for many hours.
Fuck. Is it cross platform?
Yeah, dude. I was playing on my Xbox One, and my brother was playing on a PS5.
Dude.
And he also tried it on the Switch. And then I tried it on cloud streaming. So we had like I don't know how many different permutations that is, but we tried so many different permutations of playing that game together, and it worked flawlessly every time.
I'm in. I'm inviting
Dude, it's
myself. I saw about it. Um my friend Cody like called me up and was like, "Have you seen about the Lego Fortnite?" And I was like, "Yeah. It looks like it's like basically Minecraft." And he was like, "It's a lot of
dude.
fun." And I was like, "All right, I'm in. Somebody come on."
Yeah, we'll send you. I'll talk to Chris because he's kind of the administrator of it. But we'll
Has like
send
the
you
server or whatever.
the island. Yeah, it's things called like Island Code or
All
something.
right,
like
whatever. Fuck you,
But
Fortnite.
yeah, yeah. You just have to you just can't be shocked when you come into the game, and we accidentally built something that resembles a work camp.
Okay.
Um, so we built like our initial camp,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like very like we built a very like makeshift wall that used like little materials just to keep like mobs out at night.
Mm-hmm.
And then we disappeared for a while, left all of the people who came because like NPCs come into your camp and like can help you procure materials and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, and we disappeared for a while to explore, and then we found an island that we built our house on and set up a camp there. And we're gone for many nights. We eventually ventured back there and
Were
said,
you
we'll upgrade this camp
were you gone for a fortnight?
at least. I was like, well, let's upgrade this wall, make it look a little better. So we went from like a fence to a wall. And there was one area that was like really, really shallow. Like I was pretty confident that mobs could get over it because you can kind of like entrench the walls. So I built it up some. And Chris was like, what if we add one more? So we added another layer of walls and just looked like this massive fort. Like no way in, no way out.
So
And
so you're
we may have added some watchtowers into it as well.
gotcha. So you're just basically going like the like normal route of history, and you've effectively within your civilization created slavery.
I wouldn't call it slavery. I'd call it communism.
It
We
sounds
built
like
a commune.
it sounds like you're building a jail, and a jail is just a modern way of maintaining some form of slavery, is it not?
Well,
That's my understanding. That's my woke understanding, I think, of jails.
I mean, it's probably not far off. You know, you gotta turn those profit margins on paying 15 cents per license plate. So
Yeah. No, I've seen a lot of the stuff, and I actually did want to try and touch on it. A lot of the stuff that Fortnite's doing is honestly pretty neat.
dude, it's awesome. It's so I was talking to Chris about it because he has never played Minecraft, which I said, "What kind of gamer are you?
Yeah, wow.
Like you don't even have your GED in gaming." Um, but like we were talking about, I was like, my issue with Minecraft was I played it very early on, and I played through a couple updates, and then I didn't play for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played basically up until Xbox bought it. And then they started pushing out all sorts of different updates and features, and it got very overwhelming to me. And also, like, I don't really know I don't really know the point of playing that game if I already beat the Ender Dragon however many times.
Right.
And also, I'm not playing with friends anymore, so
Yeah.
I never really stepped back into it other than like creative mode a handful of times. But getting into this, like, there's a lot going on. I think it's a little more simple than Minecraft. Um, but it's still pretty complex, and you're still figuring things out, and you don't really like know the point of the game. It just kind of is what you make it. I don't know if there's an end game, I assume, but um it's just nice to be in at the ground level again.
Yeah, I
Like
get
even
that.
though it is almost as complicated as Minecraft is currently, you don't feel behind.
I gotcha. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So would recommend. It's awesome. We played the hell out of it. Like I honestly want to say we played somewhere around 15, 16 hours.
Oh, dude. I'm definitely in. I'm definitely I'm inviting myself, but I'm itching to play it because yeah, I've heard good things.
And then the other thing, which I almost texted you about immediately, but it came out like right before I left Pennsylvania this week, so we only had like a couple minutes to play it. They added Rock Band
Yep.
to it, and we played that, and that was awesome. And you can actually plug in instrument controllers.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Fuck.
we didn't do that because we didn't have any, but you can.
Damn.
So that was cool. It reminded me of Rock Band Unplugged. Because
Yes.
if you're just playing with face buttons, then
Yep.
if you don't have the controllers, it was fun. The music is expensive. I don't remember what the conversion is, but it's not $2 anymore.
You have to use like V-Bucks and stuff.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and I don't know what you get right off the bat.
Well, I can tell you.
Can you?
Yeah, I can.
Did you play it?
Because this weekend I played Fortnite Festival, which is Rock Band in Fortnite.
Oh, there you go. Should have stopped me.
No, I wanted to like pull it out to when we inevitably got to me talking because yeah, I saw all these things that Fortnite was doing. I didn't play Lego Fortnite yet, but I did see about the Rock Band thing, which is like so in tune with like the fact that Shelby and I are playing actual Rock Band here of late.
Yep.
Yeah, so I pulled it up and it's like yeah, it's neat. I don't love the experience of just playing on a controller quite as much. But I mean, rhythm games are just fun in general. And I'm trying to think. It was like 3 Weekend songs. Bad Guy by Billie Eilish.
Was that included?
That was included. I played it a couple of times.
Did you play online with like other people?
That I did not. I was playing by myself because
Okay.
I'm a loser in the year 2023 who has no friends.
No, that's fine, but like we saw that was for sale in the store, and when we played, like we didn't buy anything, but we played with random people online, and those songs were options. We're like, oh, like maybe if one person in the part, like the group has it, anyone can pick it. But
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
No, yeah, but it's neat. And then I don't know if it's out yet or like when it released because these all released like a day apart from each other.
Yeah,
But I know they were also adding like Rocket League racing, basically.
incredible. Just like, and this will be a gripe of mine that like Chris and I have literally had while playing Fortnite and watching the Game Awards. I guess we can talk about that later.
Sure. I mean, it's nuts that like Fortnite is really making itself the like every game.
Right.
Like it's incredible.
And it had like died for a couple of years.
Right. Well, yeah. It I would say it tread water.
Yeah, sure.
It like it never really like it never fully like died. It just kind of tread water amongst all of the other battle royales that started releasing. So people like started shifting their attention to those instead. But like Fortnite always like was just around enough. And then like doing this stuff with like no build and like OG Fortnite and stuff like that has just like constant. When I pulled up Fortnite, like I've never downloaded Fortnite, and you have to have it for all these other modes and stuff. They aren't like standalone, which I thought Lego Fortnite was. So I was very confused. I was in a daze. But anyway, so I was in the menu and I forget what all the options were. I think the options that were up for me were like Battle Royale, no build, Lego, and Festival. And easily in all four of those, there was 500,000 people. It said currently online, at least in each of the four. And I think one or two of them, I think Lego had like 1.2 to 1.5 million in it.
Lego had 2 million every time we played it.
That's like it's just nuts. It's just nuts that like across four different game modes you had at least 2 million people like all playing in your ecosystem. That's just I don't know. It's just kind of crazy.
It's remarkable, that's for sure.
So, kind of major props to them. I kind of cut you off. Was there anything else that you got into?
Briefly, I had some time to myself, so I have Forza Horizon 5 on my One X, and I was like, I kind of feel like playing it. I have never played it on the One X before. I had it installed for some reason, but never played it. And I'm starting to appreciate the current generation. So, and I'll make this as quick as I can, but it plays fine on the One X, considering it wasn't really developed for it. The load times are insane. Like, I forgot how much I can get done in a loading screen. Like, I can get up, get a beer, make a sandwich, and sit down, and like it just barely be loading in.
Yeah.
So that was brutal. And then like I was driving around, I was like, it looks fine. Like the frame rate, so the One X is a very good system. So like the frame rate was good, but you could tell like maybe some of the draw distance wasn't quite as good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like drove into the middle of a field, like a dirt field, and it was just completely flat, like the textures.
Mm.
And it looked like old PS2 textures. It was very funny. But for what it's worth, to like be able to play that game and know that my progress is going to continue on my Series X, like on the road, it's I can't complain too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that like it's nice that the jump isn't so much, right? That like every like I'm trying to think back to like when you would play like a PS4 game and like you were on that generation, and then you would even go as far back as like the PS3. Sometimes like there was almost too much of a jump that it was like
Mm-hmm.
unplayable from that perspective. So I would kind of say like in that regard, like it's like you're saying, like it's kind of fortunate that like it works for like traveling and stuff like that. Um, because it doesn't feel like too much of a jump, but you do also see what the true benefits of this like new generation are.
Right. Yeah, it was funny, going back to like Fortnite and me playing on the One X, my brother playing on the PS5. I like started the game 2 or 3 minutes before him,
And he was in before you.
and he was in before me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That's how Shelby and I when we play like 7 days. Um, like she has to get the game like loading up, um, and like start like she has to load the world. Like the world has to be on hers because for whatever reason, inviting from PS5 to PS4 like gets screwy, but PS4 to PS5 is fine.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, so it's like she has to like load in the world and stuff like that, and like she'll be half the bar to load into the world will be half full. I'll start to open 7 days on my PS5, and I'm at the menu. I'm like, all right, let me in. Let me in. So it's crazy. Um,
That was my week.
nice. I don't know if I really have anything to report on. Shelby and I just last night beat Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Nice.
Um, amazing, great game.
Game of the
Uh,
year.
I did say I was like, no joke, this might be my favorite game that I played this year. Uh, just because like it's like, not too big. I mean, I love Baldur's Gate. Don't get me wrong, and I think Baldur's Gate is like deserving of Game of the Year for so many different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I sit here and like think for like personal reasons, and like I might even like Baldur's Gate more than Super Mario Wonder, right? But like from the viewpoint of like I was able to start and finish Super Mario Wonder after like a full month and a half after getting uh Baldur's Gate is just really like telling and funny, and it's just a really good Mario game. It's a really really good game. Trying to think what else. I'm working on getting Saints Row 3 platted, and then Shelby and I also we went back and so Human Fall Flat got an update for like the next gen consoles. So one of the trophies in Human Fall Flat is that you have to play the game from start to finish, and like we hadn't played it on PS5 yet, so I was like, let's try and play it start to finish while doing all of the like, here's the special thing you have to do on this level. Um, I think like if you're just going start to finish, it probably takes you could probably do it in under 2 hours. But when you're doing like all of the other stuff and like kind of needing to go out of your way to do things, it was taking us close to like 5 hours. And we had done a really good job, and we got through the last level Aztec, and the trophy didn't pop. And I thought it was because we had restarted the level Aztec to try and reset checkpoints and stuff like that for this one trophy. And I don't know if that was truly the cause or because of like free updates. Human Fall Flats added in a bunch of levels, and 3 of the like bonus levels are like within the normal chapter select, and then like the rest of them there's like 6 others that they released so many additional levels. It's awesome. Those are like listed under extra dreams. I'm thinking those like other 3, the first 3 that they released, which are like dark, ice, and I forget what the other one is. We think that you might have to go from the mansion starting level to the last of the first 3 bonus levels, and that is what will cause it to pop. But we did like everything else, so it shouldn't be that bad. Again, it should probably take us like maybe 2.5 hours. But man, that was like kind of brutal that we had done the work, and honestly, we were probably close to just all we would have had to do were those 3 levels, but we kind of were just like, oh, we just gotta stop, and then we kind of had the realization it's like, oh fuck. So yeah, still teetering on this. Will I? Won't I? For 69, I was hoping I would have them before we were done with like pre-recording and stuff like that for the year, so that I could verbally say it to you on an episode. But I don't know if that's going to be a reality or not.
Oh, right. Since we're pre-recording pretty much the rest of the year.
Yeah. So, but
you'll have to like
I'll
dub
let
it
you know.
in.
I'll let you know. Yeah. Right at the end, Spencer earned his 69th platinum. But yeah, so kind of a boring week for me. Played some more Rock Band as well. So
Very nice. It doesn't sound very boring to me.
Still having a blast with that. All right, let's talk about the Game Awards. I think there's a lot to talk about. I just want to like preface that I don't think we're going to go into like every award. I think we can quickly touch on how we did for the categories that we specifically talked about last week. But other than that, I think we can mostly just kind of keep it to like surprises. And then I just really want to talk about the show as a whole. And I think there's a lot to say. Things that we both might want to like call out that should maybe be done differently, or like how we would propose doing it differently. Maybe you think it was perfect, so I won't put words in your mouth. Gonzo did talk about cock a lot, so I will take that as a win. And yeah, let's get into it. I guess let's just start the overall show. Like, if you're just looking at it from like, take a step back, you're just talking about the overall show that was put on. Like, how did you feel about the Game Awards?
I mean, completely objectively, and like not thinking about the value added, I guess it was a good show. Like, it would have been fun to be at in person. I don't really know a good way of putting it, because like,
no, like, yeah, I know I'm kind of tiptoeing around. Like, it's one of those things where it's like I agree with you. Like, I think generally speaking, it's like a good show, right? The Game Awards,
the production level is always immaculate.
Exactly. Like, it's always a good show. I guess then to like go a step further, is it a good awards show? Is it like, it's like supposed to set out to celebrate gaming? Does it actually do a good job of that?
I think this year, put simply, it's absolutely no.
Yes, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And
this felt like a Summer Games Fest.
Yes. And
in a tuxedo.
I like, to put it quite simply, it was what, 3.5 hours, I think. Like,
it was long.
It was a 30-minute pre-show and then a 3-hour show, which I don't understand why they call it a pre-show, because there are awards handed out during the pre-show. Right. But yeah, to put it simply, my recommendation would literally be, it's done on a Thursday. I would do Thursday is the Game Awards, where you look back at the previous year in gaming and you give out awards to people. People get a chance to speak to the fact that they just won said award. And like, that is it. That is all you do. You can do these like in between things, like the Alan Wake dance like number, and like like little concert-y type things in between, right? Awesome. Great. And then Friday is, okay, yesterday was this past year. Here's all the shit that's coming out. Like, let's get hyped and do that, and have 2 different 2-hour shows or whatever, however long. But like, do something like that. Like, that to me would be so much more valuable and like a much better way of like celebrating the industry and like actually like letting people like receive their flowers and like and give them the proper acknowledgement, um instead of like doing these like in between hype things that you're giving all this time and attention to, and then we joked about it at the beginning, and then like telling, you know, the creators of Tears of the Kingdom to wrap it up after talking for like 30 seconds to maybe a minute. Just seems like it just seems really backwards for a show that is supposed to celebrate the previous year, like, or the year that we just had. uh so again, that's like, to not even get into everything, but that immediately was like my reaction, where it's like, this is a great show, it's like, it's fun and it has like all of these like great elements to it, but when you actually like want to like take a step back and think about how the Game Awards, it has awards in the name, and like maybe we're putting too much emphasis on like this being the one and only show. It's not, but I think like with
I
everything
mean,
that Jeff Keighley has done, he has like this opportunity to do it right. And to me, this year especially was like a major whiff.
and it feels like every year there's something. And granted, this is still like a very young product, and I'm sure the reason that they had such hard cutoffs this year was because of, every year before this, you've just had people who went and went and went and went. There was really no enforcement. But it just felt like it was too much of a cutoff.
Yeah.
I I don't know.
I mean, I feel
I
like,
could see, and I feel like the time to talk should vary depending on the award.
yes, agreed.
I mean, you know, I don't really care how this sounds, but there are awards that are more important than, like, Game of the Year. That speech should be longer than, and this is just an example. I think this isn't pre-show, so there isn't really an acceptance speech, but like best esports athlete,
Yeah.
like you should get 30 seconds for that. But like, I feel if you produce the Game of the Year, you should get at least a couple of minutes to reflect on what it took to build that game.
Yes, 100%. And another thing that I kind of think that they could do is they could set up some sort of guideline to have it in such a way that like each subsequent award that you win, you get like a little less time. Because the way I see it is like Alan Wake won a couple of different awards and like easily could have won like Game of the Year, right? And I feel like art direction and narrative, the two that it won, are two very different things that you could speak to the manner in which and the time and effort and energy that it took to craft the narrative and to put the effort into the art direction. And those are two different things that I think deserve kind of their own recognition, hence why there is a separate award. And you would still deserve the right to like speak to those things. But again, to like have it as such a way, like maybe you say like just a blanket, like you get 3 minutes, right? Hopefully people take that recommendation and try to like write a 2 minute speech and have an understanding that like maybe you speak a little longer, maybe you think of something else that you want to say, and you like try to follow the guidelines. And then like if you have the understanding from there that you have a little less time for each subsequent one, maybe that would be like the way to try and do it, to make it like so that the people actually generally like or genuinely have the time to like speak to the award that they just won.
Right, and I think that makes sense because if you win best narrative, and Game of the Year, like I don't think that it should take away from your time in your Game of the Year speech.
Right.
But if you stick to solely talking about, I think this is where you're going with this, that like in your best narrative speech, you primarily talk about what it took to write the narrative.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
I think that makes sense.
And like again, like so Baldur's Gate's kind of the perfect example. Talk about it, but like Baldur's Gate wins Game of the Year, right? And I think the other award that had a speech tied to it that Baldur's Gate technically won was Best Performance. Two extremely different things, right? Like
Right.
like Best Performance should have no, like, even if it would have been I can't remember anybody's name right now. But the actress who was nominated for Alan Wake 2, had she won, that should have had no impact on the speech length of and like time allotted to the team that actually like crafted the individual parts of Alan Wake 2, right?
Yeah.
And like, and then again, to go a step even further, it's like regardless, game of the year is allotted X number of minutes, X amount of time, whatever. That's how I feel like it should be done. And the other thing that I think is like so annoying about it is that like so many of these people who are like crafting these games and making these games are not like native English speaking. So like whether they're going through a translator or whether they're doing their best to speak in English, like you can tell that like that's like such like a level of effort that like we should be appreciating even more rather than like telling them to wrap it up. I don't know. It's just like
Yeah,
it
if you have
felt
to use
bad.
a translator, give it a couple extra minutes.
Yeah. And Jeff came out afterwards because obviously a lot of people brought this up. He came out afterwards and said that it was like the team's discretion to like say, and like, but it just felt like such an overcorrection based solely on the fact that Chris Judge took 10 minutes in his acceptance speech last year. Like it just feels like we've memed that to hell, and now we're like overcorrecting because of what one person, because I never felt like anybody's speeches were ever like that bad or to that level. And like Chris just went on, and like yeah, maybe you should have given him a little guidance ahead of time, or told everybody like, hey, try to keep it to this, right? But like yeah, this just feels like a complete overreaction to it, and hopefully that's just it, right? And like it'll be better for next year. But
And so I didn't even realize it was discretionary. I assumed it was on a timer, albeit very short.
I think it was like have an understanding of like where they're at, and then like, but it was like after so many seconds you can like throw up the wrap it up, and then or like you put up the wrap it up, and then 30 seconds after the wrap it up is when the music started playing. I forget what it was, but there was some discretion involved. But with that even said, like you had Neil Newborn, I just looked, he was the one who won best performance, and he's like screaming over the music to try and like say one other thing. And it's like I think back to last year, and Christopher Judge ends up getting this epic moment because they started to try and play him off, and they were just like crescendoing music, and he just kept talking and just made it sound so much more powerful. And we did not get that this year at all. It was like, you are no longer speaking. Like, we're going to mute the mic, and the only thing that people will hear is the music. And it didn't feel like people actually had the opportunity to like get out those like final moments. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, you go 10 seconds past music playing you off. Like, that's just common like award show stuff. But what bothers me, and so like I said, I didn't think it was discretionary. I figured it was a set, you get 30 seconds, whatever. I didn't count. But I think that makes the situation where, was it the Tears of the Kingdom team where they had a member who died, or was that Baldur's Gate?
That was also Baldur's Gate.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, like, apparently, according to people in the audience, they like put the wrap it up sign up during that part of the speech.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's like, come on.
Yeah, that feels like we're not even listening. We're just, yeah, I'm following a timer. All right, I gave you an extra 5 seconds. Now I'm going to throw up, wrap it up. I'm not actually hearing the words that you're saying.
Right.
And the importance of what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
But people caught on. So like the Game Awards, committee, whoever's putting this event together, like, they need to either get new people to do that or discipline the person who did do it and say, you need to pay attention. Like,
yeah,
this is all contextual.
Yeah. And I think like the other thing that's like so frustrating, again, just to like go off of this like whole time aspect of it, is that like you had so much other nonsense, right? Like,
yeah,
specific.
Did we really need the Alan Wake dance number for however
yes.
many minutes that was?
We did. That was awesome.
It was awesome, but like still,
I'm more so calling out like the Kojima thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't get me wrong. I love Kojima. And
10 minutes to show nothing.
right. Like, all because, like, Jeff also has the biggest man crush on Kojima. Like, come on. Like, that's just like, it's for a game that's not even out. That's like why my recommendation at the kind of at the top, where it's like, just have two separate events, like, right, one after another. One that's recapping and like taking a rewind for the entire year and acknowledging the year we had. And then, all right, fuck last year, fuck 2023. Let's look at what's happening in 2024 and beyond, and then do all this stuff. But
Right.
yeah,
I
like
think the
I
other
think about
thing
that.
I think the other thing that empowers you to do, and this is something that we kind of, I think we did, at least we did in our personal conversations, like, where are they going to talk about the layoffs this year? Were they gonna talk about studios closing? You know, and I don't think they did at all. I don't think it ever came up.
Nope.
I don't think anybody who won awards even had the time to thank people who, you know, had to be laid off from the team. You know, and there's always, every year there is something in gaming. So if you break it into 2 nights, you can allocate however many minutes you need to bring transparency to the industry and say, these are the problems that we need to solve in the next year. And I think that's important. And I think this platform is a good way to acknowledge that stuff.
100%. Yeah. And like, it needs to be acknowledged. And it's I mean, that's my other, like, probably biggest gripe with the show, is that not once was it brought up. That's fucked.
And it just feels like it's one of those things where the committee was like, oh, we can't, it's supposed to be a celebratory event. Like, we can't bring it down, you know, but like, everyone's thinking it. I mean, those were the first tweets I saw when the event was over. It was like no mention of the people who lost their jobs.
Yep.
So people were thinking it and they were expecting it. So you might as well say something.
Yeah, and that's like, again, that's like a miss on Jeff's part, because like he doesn't have any, well, I don't know. I got, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He has like no leg in the race. Like, I don't expect the company that's winning an award that laid off half of a team to bring it up. Like, I don't expect them to like go like, oh, yeah, so this thing happened. Like, I don't expect that at all. Like, they're going to obviously want to dodge that bullet. I feel like it's on Jeff to like bring that up. And then, like, you want to talk about other opportunities where these things could be brought up. I don't know, maybe like debut indie or indie game, like getting more than, again, 30 seconds or zero time to talk on stage and like talk about this thing that they were able to do that is like so very difficult to do. Sea of Stars got one best debut one best indie. Cocoon won best debut indie, I believe. Yeah. Cocoon was able to speak, albeit for a very short period of time. They started like playing them off when the guy stopped speaking, and then the woman who was there like went to start speaking, but the music was already playing, so that was awesome and awkward. But Sea of Stars did not get to like go up on stage and like accept the speech or accept the award and speak. And like, I don't know, maybe that's where they could have said like something along the lines of like, hey, like, there's this shit that's affecting the industry and we all have to do better. But yeah, nobody had the opportunity, even if they wanted to bring it up. And just an absolute miss on Jeff's part to not, I feel like, call attention to it.
I saw a lot of people upset about best RPG only getting like the quick 20-second treatment as well. And it's like, I get that, but also Baldur's Gate won it anyway, as they did pretty much everything else.
That is the one thing that I would maybe be okay with, but I like really wrestle with myself because, so like when I think about how you like get into the genres, I'm like, yeah, I could see like being like, here are the quick cuts and like maybe not doing speeches for them. But I also think about the fact that a racing game is very rarely, if ever, going to be nominated for Game of the Year or any of the extra stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
same goes for a fighting game. And so I feel like those are things that deserve a little bit of extra recognition. Like, you in a sea of gaming that does not appreciate your genre, right? Like, you stood out amongst the only other 5 games to release as the best, and like you did something, and you deserve the recognition. So like I really wrestle with that. Like you said, like it's easy to kind of write off action adventure and maybe RPG because those are typically the ones that end up nominated for GOTY and some of those GOTY-esque awards. But I just really wrestle with all of these things. It's like we set up these thresholds and we set up these specific awards just to stand off to the side and read the list of the nominees and just say congratulations to Sea of Stars, congratulations to Baldur's Gate, like, and then that's it. And it's like, now here's a 2-minute trailer for a game that's not coming out until 2025. Crazy to me. It just seems so imbalanced. It just seems so imbalanced.
Yeah, I really think the solution here is Two Nights. So hopefully, I've seen people like, I think maybe even Paris said it or something, like recommended that as well.
Okay.
And so like if people that are that big in the industry are saying it, hopefully it'll carry some weight.
So I hadn't seen somebody. Well, I had seen a lot of people say like, just call this the Game Awards, like, or so, fuck, just call this Winter Game Fest.
Right.
And just say like, oh, also like we'll acknowledge who was like best game, but like to call it the Game Awards and then spend so little time on the awards and to spend so much time hyping up voting for who you think should win and all this other stuff, right? To then spend so little time actually acknowledging those winners seems so disingenuous to build it as the Game Awards. It seems like it's like false advertising almost.
I would be interested to see, like, obviously you and I and a lot of the people that we follow in the industry have like, and we're invested in the entire industry and like people getting credit and acknowledging the work that goes into these things. But I mean, maybe we're just in a generation, and this is really just me playing devil's advocate, but maybe we're in a generation of gamers where they just don't care. They don't care about people getting credit. They just want to know what they can play on their PS5 in a year or two.
Yeah, maybe.
And I don't know, maybe the Game Awards just becomes an industry event. I don't know. I would hate to see that because, frankly, like, I don't really give a shit about the trailers.
I know. That's
Like,
how I feel.
I can watch them whenever, but to sit down and to like, see all of these people who made these great games in one room and just them all like celebrate each other is awesome.
Yeah, it's like wholesome, right? It's like cathartic knowing that like all through all of the shit, right? Like that these teams still get like the recognition that they deserve because they don't get it, right? Like how often do you take the time to like play, like you play a game and then how often do you take the time, or does the average gamer at least take the time to reflect and be like, wow, I'm super grateful that there were people who made this thing. Like nobody does that because that's just how we all operate on a day-to-day. You don't ever appreciate the thing that's actually in your hands and all the effort and time that it took to make that thing so that it could be in your hands, because you don't think about it because you handed over $60, $70, $800 if you're talking about a phone or whatever, right? And then that's it. And you're whatever. And then you lose out on all the appreciation of like what went into it. And that's fine. I'm not saying like we're bad people for that because that's just unfortunately how things are. But like, so if we're going to build something to like make sure that these people get that recognition that they so deserve, let's do it right. Like let's actually take the time and let like people pat their like peers on the back and say, hey, great job on this thing that you made. Also, let's not get up in arms about Chris Judge making fun of Call of Duty for having a short campaign because that was fucking hilarious. Like, come on. Are we really going to get upset about a little roast job happening?
Apparently.
Like he didn't make a like workplace uh, harassment joke about Activision. He, the low hanging fruit, if you will. Instead, he just took a light jab at the fact that the campaign is rather shorter than his speech. That was hilarious. He was also taking a dig at himself.
I think what's hard though about how he phrased it was he was like, another company I won't work for. And like when I first heard that, I was like, is he just like, is that a him saying that he won't morally work for them, or just like he's making fun of them so now they won't
Oh,
hire him?
I took it as that. I took it as like,
I After I thought about it, that's how I took it. But initially I was like, oh shit, like no faith in Microsoft turning that ship around, I guess.
oh no, yeah, I totally took it as I shit on the interviewer's desk. I don't think they're
Right.
gonna hire me now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oops, did I say that out loud? I don't think they're going to want to work with me. I might have shot myself in the foot. But yeah, sorry, I kind of derailed us there a little bit. Any other aspect of the show that you like specifically wanted to touch on in terms of like, how it's actually built out?
I think just to kind of close out, it being 2 nights. And I'm sure they don't want to rent. I forget what it's called now. I know it was the Microsoft Theater, and they changed
the
naming.
Peacock Theater.
Oh, correct.
Which Gonzo went nuts when he heard that.
Yeah, don't blame him. Like I understand that the whole reason Jeff Keighley started the Game Awards and Summer Games Fest was to basically be the spiritual successor to E3 and like have people in person and all that. But like, in my opinion, pre-record the releases, pre-record your interviews with the developers, release it the day before or the day of, whatever. Release it in the morning, and then do the Game Awards as the live event. Like, I feel like you could do that with little extra investment, and it would play a lot better in my head. Because again, like going back to the demographic who probably just wants to hear about the games and doesn't care about the people, like they want something they can like fast forward through. There you go. Anyway, and in terms of anything else, I mean, do we want to get into the robberies?
The robberies, yeah. Talk about
or
some,
just like the shit I don't get.
like, are you talking about like in terms of like the actual
Who
awards?
won? Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, were there any announcements that did pique your interest?
A couple. Let me see. I'm going through the list. I saw that Don't Nod like tweeted something before that they were going to tease something tonight. And so they put out a trailer for Lost Records Bloom and Rage. Not really my genre, but I'm interested in it. I'm excited to see more. Moon Studios, who developed Ori, announced No Rest for the Wicked. Again, they're saying it's a Diablo-like ARPG. Not really the type of games I play, but I really liked the Ori games, so I'm again excited to see more about that. Who knows if I'll play it? I think there was one other thing. Oh, Joseph Fares, his I think it was his first game, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, getting a remake. I will, if that's going to be a multiplayer game, which I imagine it is, I will be excited about that.
Hell yeah. I think I was trying to remember. I was explaining to Shelby. I could have sworn that when the game originally came out, it was one controller and you had to like swap between the two brothers to do things. And so I'm curious
Okay.
I'm curious if like now as it's like updated, if it'll actually be like, yeah, you can like have a 2 controller option. Maybe you always did. Maybe I just don't remember. I don't know. But I could have sworn.
Did you play it?
I had like started it like way back. Like I think that
Okay.
came out on PS3 and I think it was a free game 1 month for PS Plus. And so I think I like downloaded it, started
Gotcha.
playing it, and then like I definitely did not finish it. I probably didn't even really make it past like the first chapter if I'm being honest.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, there
Well,
was like some cool stuff like
uh,
to look
to
forward
be
to.
honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
I could have left it. I mean, oh, sorry. I did find the Hello Games um, Light No Fire. I thought that was interesting,
Yes, and all of the stuff to
especially the
come after.
aftermath.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really taking all the memes in stride. Good for them.
Sean, don't promise an Earth-sized game.
Yeah. All right, Sean. We're just gonna talk about Light No Fire. Just really set expectations. Don't say we're building Earth. Fuck. Yeah.
Uh,
Love the ambition.
yes. Yeah, I think I'm excited to see how that grows, especially with like what that team has learned
Yes,
from
I
No
agree.
Man's Sky. I
Yep.
think that game should like be watched very closely.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, but I think
Uh,
generally speaking, like you said, where it's like it's nice that we had like some of these announcements, and there are things that I would say there are things that I'm definitely excited for, but like generally speaking, it's like I didn't need it for this event or what I wanted from this event, I guess.
right. Yeah, there was nothing that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Only confusion when I saw Blade and swore it was going to be Redfall.
Right, again, like it's like you see that and it's like, okay, that's exciting. Um I will say that like it's the thing that I like about Summer Games Fest is like when they do have the people talk about it and you get these like super excited, like I'm just so excited that like people are getting to see what it is that we're making. I like love this game so much, like all this other stuff. It's like that aspect is still amazing. I still do love that, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is the format necessarily that I want it in. Um, yeah, I think you kind of nailed most of the things. The only other thing that I was, um, it like made me raise both eyebrows was the God of War free DLC that looks to be like a roguelike type
Yeah.
system, which is just interesting because The Last of Us Part 2 remaster is getting like a roguelike system added to it as well. And so I just thought that was kind of interesting. Um, but yeah, like other than that, and then I will say from the show aspect, again, technically nothing to do with the awards, but I did really like the performance aspect. So like they had a couple of different songs. They had a song from, um, they had a performance from Hellblade 2, right? Hellblade, uh, the Senua's Sacrifice or whatever game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hellblade. Then they did have a like song and orchestra for a Final Fantasy song, and then they had the like Alan Wake 2 like whole dance number thing. I actually really liked that. I thought it was awesome. And then Sam Lake came out and was dancing with them at the end, and
Oh yeah.
I thought that was like so, like again like just so wholesome, right? Like it just made me like smile watching it.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought it was cool, but like, was it worth taking away from the speeches? I don't know.
Yeah. Again, if I'm gonna cut stuff, I'm cutting the trailers. I'm cutting the 10 minutes for Kojima. Unfortunately, right? Like you know, you love hearing Kojima speak about a passion project and stuff. Um, but yeah, uh, when I think of an award show, I feel like award shows typically have some performance added in, and I like
Yeah.
that aspect of it. So, all right, let's talk about the awards. Was there an award? So last week we kind of like went through and we gave our best prediction for best performance, best audio design, best score and music, best art direction, best narrative, best game direction, and game of the year. Is there anything outside of those, though, that you wanted to touch on?
Yes. We did talk about best performance, right?
We did do a prediction for best
Okay.
performance, yes.
And okay, there's one that I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about, and that was best strategy game.
Yes.
Like I know we touched on it because I said I don't understand why Pikmin 4 is on this list.
And then
And the
Pikmin
fact
4
that it
won.
won, yeah, I laughed. I like audibly laughed. I was like, I'm glad. It's a great game. They deserve something here, but like, what?
Yeah.
Compared to like any of these other games who are like really more traditional strategy games.
I know. I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, it made me go, do I know what Pikmin is?
Yeah, I mean there is like some strategy involved. Like there's different types of Pikmin who could do different things.
Sure.
But like, I don't know. Is Minecraft a strategy game? Like based off of the tools you use? Like, yeah, you're not gonna use a sword against diamond.
I
It kind of
guess.
feels the same. I don't know.
Yeah. I, kind of in that same vein, Cyberpunk winning best ongoing, I found to be,
No sense.
yeah. Um, yeah.
Especially when we were just talking about like Fortnite and what Fortnite has done. And
Right.
the fact that like literally the night that the Game Awards was going on, they really, or maybe the day before, they released like the Lego Fortnite mode,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an instant success. Like,
Yeah. I thought
and
that was
Apex
funny.
Legends is like 8 years old, and people still play it.
Right. Right. I thought, yeah, I thought that was like, that was a decision. That was a decision to put a game that simply released a massive paid DLC and then said this will be it.
Yeah, and the last
best ongoing.
update shipped before it even won this award.
Oh man.
There's no more updates to Cyberpunk. What you have now is what it will forever be.
Right.
Minus probably like some quality of life
If there's like a
upgrades, but
bug,
like,
yeah, that comes up.
yeah, yeah. Like, I just don't get like again happy for CD Projekt Red, happy for the game. I just don't think it does the industry justice.
Yeah. Yep.
Just weird.
But yeah, anything else outside of the kind of like the banner awards that we'll be talking about?
Uh, I just want to say I think I texted this to you. Oh yeah, slow jerk over Final Fantasy. This was like the Final Fantasy show. Like, holy shit.
Yep.
I
I mean,
I, I don't get it.
it's
I
a
really
massive
don't.
game. It's a massive game.
Like, do we even need other games if this is all people are excited about? Like, congrats. The video game industry is now some degree of a Soulsborne game and Final Fantasy. That's all you get.
And Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's what people are excited for. I think it's funny that GTA 6, obviously the trailer only released 2 days before the Game Awards, but I feel like GTA 6 would have won that that most anticipated.
Yeah.
Had
Sure.
had it come out like a week earlier.
Yeah.
And been on the list. I guess they technically released the list back in like you know automatically that's winning next year without fail. Okay, let's get into the ones that we tried to predict, starting with best performance. I'm trying to remember. I believe I said I thought Melanie LeBird is that what we both said? We both.
I think we both thought that Melanie LeBird would win. I think solely just because like it's hard to vote for Idris Elba considering
Yeah.
he's in so much other stuff.
Right. Thought it was funny that he was the only one who wasn't at the show. Couldn't even be bothered
Yeah.
to show up. So
Which,
Neil Newbon won for Baldur's Gate 3, and I thought that was kind of funny because I was like, my whole rationale for not picking him last week was basically there's so many great performances in Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know how you would just choose the one.
right.
And so I don't know how that one would also be able to win. And so when it was announced that they had won, I was like, oh, well, there goes. Yeah, take that rationale, Spencer. Like, nice going. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I don't really get that, but whatever. I guess that's why I'm not.
It was definitely, again, it is a great performance.
But his performance didn't set the game apart.
Right. Like for me, it doesn't like stand on its own, but also depending on how you play, you will interact with Asterion more than I maybe do. So like, I don't know. There were reasons why I felt like the performance for most cases is going to be more diluted than almost most of these other ones because they're more ingrained in the actual game. Maybe Baldur's Gate just being as big as it is kind of helped push that, but yeah, best audio design, Hi-Fi Rush took home the honors. I want to say we both said Hi-Fi Rush for this one.
I believe so, because we did pick Hi-Fi Rush for best score and music.
You said
Did you say Hi-Fi Rush or did you say Spider-Man?
For best audio design?
Yeah, because you're talking about how like going through the city was super immersive, and
I was saying that's why I assume it was nominated, but I felt like it didn't really stand with the rest of these because I feel like Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, and Resident Evil have like environmental aspects of like environmental horror-y type stuff that I felt like made really like good sense for best audio design. But I think I ultimately just went with Hi-Fi Rush because it's like it has music literally baked into like the gameplay. And like it's so integral, yeah. So I was happy about that. Best score in music. I think we both ended up saying Hi-Fi Rush for this as well.
I think we landed on Final Fantasy because the score for Final Fantasy is always unmatched. That is one thing I'll give Final Fantasy.
Well, okay, I couldn't remember because I know I brought up about how Gene Park specifically called out how the composer for Final Fantasy like was going through cancer treatments while like building this out, and like that alone, like Gene was like, take out the fact that it's like an amazing score, but like having the like human will and drive to create this thing while going through such like an impactful thing, and for it to be so amazing is like you like take the cake. So I couldn't remember where we landed there. I said I was gonna go back and listen and write all this down, but I didn't. So that was cool to see. Best score in music, by the way, did not get a speech. That was a side. That was a side of the. Off stage run through a list. Congratulations, on to the next award.
Couldn't give more credit to that composer than the Game Awards orchestra composer or director.
It's just like. Just kind of insane that all of these awards I feel like would have deserved speeches and stuff like that, and we didn't get it for one of them, if not more. Best art direction, Alan Wake 2 took this. This one, I believe, I said Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Do you remember?
I think I said Super Mario Bros. Wonder as well.
Okay, I was honestly kind of shocked about this one, but I also haven't played Alan Wake 2. And I guess I wasn't necessarily shocked that I wouldn't have been shocked if any of these won. I guess I really believed that Mario was going to win. Best narrative, Alan Wake 2 also won this. I want to say we said Alan Wake 2 for this.
Yeah.
Because I felt like Baldur's Gate 3 would be tough.
Because it is kind of what you make it.
Mm-hmm. Not that that's necessarily bad, and not that like again the attention to detail and work that goes into being able to build out multiple bridges and like keep a cohesive narrative is
Right.
like obviously very impressive. But I think we both were kind of in agreement that like something that has you a little bit more on rails makes more sense for best narrative. Best game direction. I believe we both said Super Mario Bros. Wonder for this. Simply because it says awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. And I think when we read that, we were like, it's got to be Mario because of
Right.
like all the changes and like stuff, whether big or small, that they did to Mario are so massive. Um, that we like both thought Mario and I again I was sitting there and as they were like getting ready to announce it, I was like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Alan Wake 2 took it. It was a great night for Alan Wake 2. And it's so awesome that like we kind of you had said it as like an honorable mention for when listing out when we were trying to predict like the six GOTY nominees. And it was because I think we were like a full week away yet from Alan Wake 2 releasing that we were just like, will it, won't it? We just don't really know. Um, and I think you kind of like took it upon yourself with like all of the early like acknowledgement that the game was getting to say like, yeah, I think this could be there. And so to see it get there, like in my opinion, obviously we don't know, but this was the clear runner up for game of the year. Um, Based solely on how it did in these other categories.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, of course, if this game released in July, it would still be in the same conversation, I think. But like, for it to get in people's hands that quickly, and then to be able to even be nominated for this and voted for.
I think it would have been more obvious if it had released earlier, right? Like it would have bbeen like a no-brainer almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, for such a quick turnaround to happen, it's like shocking. It's like, oh my god,
Right.
like I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Um, yeah, so I mean, very awesome to see. And then game of the year, the final one, and Baldur's Gate 3 took that home. I think we both were pretty much prepared for that, and we took in the whole conversation, and it held true, right? Like we didn't pick Baldur's Gate for any of these other, um, sub major categories that go into Game of the Year, that they were also nominated for, right? But like we didn't have them taking home any of those yet. We both were pretty much in agreement that it was going to take home Game of the Year for really the simple fact that it does all of the things so incredibly well. It just may not be the best in any of the individual ones, but when you look at it as the final overall product, it is the best, right?
Yeah.
And so to see that kind of like hold true, was really like great to see. Like it's nice when it's not just kind of like last year with Elden Ring and God of War, which they kind of just did really stand above, but like it wasn't just Alan Wake and Baldur's Gate 3 that won all the awards, right? Like Final Fantasy won one of the major awards. Hi-Fi Rush won one of the major awards. I think I'm forgetting something in there. Regardless, just like it's nice when it's not like so obvious because one game is just a complete juggernaut against the field. So yeah, I don't know. I was pretty happy overall with the general results here.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny when the game of the year vote came up, or not the vote, the results came up. I was almost like, oh, with how Alan Wake is doing,
I know, I
I
know.
don't know. Like, I don't know. It's just incredible to have the gear and games that we did, and then at the buzzer, another game come in and like easily take. It's hard to call it second best, but you know, just a game that good to come in at the end, just to really cap off the year,
Right.
is pretty incredible.
Yeah. There was quite a bit of discourse, and I think it was kind of the reason why I said like Alan Wake 2 is probably the one that I would consider the clear like runner up in the game of the year category. There's a lot of discourse because Spider-Man 2 did not take home any awards.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like bringing that up, and they were like, "You're telling me that Spider-Man 2 is not a better game than Baldur's Gate 3? Like Spider-Man 2 should have been the game of the year." And I'm just like, "You're an insane person for thinking that like Spider-Man 2 was the runner-up." Like did you watch the rest of the award show? Like I'm honestly sitting here shocked that Baldur's Gate 3 did end up winning game of the year because again, like you're saying, like Alan Wake 2 brings home like 3 major categories. Like right at the end, it's like, oh shit, like Alan Wake 2 is way better than we even realize. Amidst everybody saying how great it is. Just crazy. I don't even think if I had to rank these on expectations, Spider-Man 2 is probably gonna fall 5th on this. I think it beats Resident Evil 4, basically. I don't think it beats Alan Wake 2, and I definitely don't think it beats Tears of the Kingdom simply because it's Zelda. And I do think, even though I personally would be like, Zelda's really gonna win, it's like, well, Spider-Man 2 is a second game as well. It's technically a third game, right? In like a line. It's just like, is that really a game that is like doing enough to win game of the year? Maybe. You know, can't fully discredit it. But you know, it would have been like, ugh, really, Zelda? Of course, Zelda's always amazing.
Yeah.
So, but I still think it would have had the power to beat Spider-Man 2. And honestly, I think Super Mario Wonder would have been more deserving. So I would have put Spider-Man 2 probably 5th on this list off of what I understand and also like from how other games were and stuff like that, and then just from my personal experience as well with some of these. So yeah, I don't really understand the discourse. And then like people are trying to compare a turn-based game with a movie. It's weird. Bold. I just block all those people anymore.
Yeah,
It's just like it's just like
don't get me wrong, it sucks that Spider-Man didn't take anything home, but also it's a competitive year.
Like, yes, it sucks, but like, you know,
It
again,
really
look at what it was. Look, it was nominated for so much, right? Like, it's not like people getting up in arms about like Starfield not getting like hardly any nominations, right? It was only nominated for one game. It's like, okay, I can understand if you're trying to figure out where to weasel it into some of these other conversations, but it's like Spider-Man 2 was in the conversation for everything, right? Like it was in the conversation for game of the year, it was in the conversation for best game direction, it was in the conversation for best narrative, it was not art direction, I'm just trying to look quick, not score music, audio design though, best performance
for accessibility,
yes, innovation and accessibility, and then I think it was also up for action adventure. Yeah, I mean, it was up there for a lot of different awards. It was nominated. It was getting recognition. Whether it actually took home the hardware is a different conversation, sure. But like, would have it been cool to see it get something? Sure, but you know, this was a major year, right? Like being in the conversation is an award in and of itself, I think. But I would say generally speaking with like the awards, there wasn't anything that I was like too upset about. I didn't feel like anybody got effed over too hard. I think the Cyberpunk one was like probably the one where I was like, this one feels kind of wrong. I feel like I got this wrong. And yeah, maybe Pikmin 4. But it was,
I mean, Pikmin 4 I just don't get.
Right.
I could see, like I said, I can see how, but like when it's up against 4 or 5 other like pure strategy sim games, especially after seeing like, I think City Skylines 2 got pretty good reviews. Like, I almost kind of expected that.
Right.
At least got a lot of coverage, which is certainly a marker of these
Mhm.
awards.
But
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was fine. I think the people who won were deserving. Again, probably minus Cyberpunk for best ongoing. That doesn't
right,
make any sense.
that was probably the biggest one. But yeah, I mean, I think like we called out some pretty obvious gripes when it comes to the Game Awards and especially how it was overall done this year. I really hope these like recommendations that people are throwing out are taken into consideration in good faith and are attempted to be implemented, and we get overall a better, more like meaningful show for what it should be next year, and
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. Anything else you wanted to say about the Game Awards?
No, that's all I
Alrighty,
got.
cool. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Bet you didn't notice that weird cut in the middle where I ran out of hard drive space, and so I'm sure it was super fluid, and you have no idea that it even happened. But thank you so much for listening. To give you a little glimpse, next week we will be doing another journey into games, and then the following week, Mike and I will be doing a like year in review, taking a look back at this entire year for gaming, and kind of where we see maybe gaming going after having such a massive year for great releases. So you can look forward to both of those as we get into the like holiday season and time off and all that. As always, thank you so much for listening. If you could leave us a rating or review wherever you do listen to the podcast, it would be greatly appreciated. If you want to leave us a comment over on YouTube and let us know what you would change about the Game Awards, or if there were any major snubs in your opinion, feel free to do so. We appreciate it. Share this podcast with a friend, and we will talk to you next week.